Good morning, Rabbi Isai. Nishmas versus Mordechai by Mark Duke. Dear Belly and team, Mark here from Borehamwood, UK. Maaser. Borehamwood. Like Borehamwood. Loving Gittin, just superb. Wanted to suggest a couple of things which please ignore if not right, as everyone is quick with eitzes, but not so quick with doing the actions. First, I noticed that getting the Zoom, getting into live share has been a little challenging, so I wonder if after the share each day you record a very quick VOX pop non-Panovich term, meaning a V, short message, Latin for voice. 30 seconds of one of the participants and play it at the part of the regular intros. I think it would work. Kahoot. Oh, Kahoot. It's so just superb. It's just superb. I wonder if it might be an idea to do the end of the Perek Kahoot of maybe 15 questions. I like it. We'll encourage Chazara. Finally, is MDY a registered charity in the UK? Yes, it is. If it was, please let me know. Thanks again for making my day. Oh, I got to say before I finish this email, because I'm going to forget. Walking over here, somebody reached out to me and said, because that I mentioned, I felt I had to mention because it was said in joke that MDY pays for my safari trips. So I said I had to make a macha sort of to the joke that I just gave $20,000. So this individual said because I gave $20,000, he's giving anonymously $20,000. Just
who is this?
Anonymous. He'll tell you who it is. I told him who it is.
His name was Nachman or something?
Nachman is doing his bills now. Rabbi side, please zoom in. Zoom in. Does anybody want to pay this? This is what we do during emails and share. Thanks again for making my day in learning sense. Tom and Mark from Beitza, Amud Beis. P.S. No need to read this out. Hi, Rebellion. On Sunday, I traveled to Rapid City, South Dakota, Montana to visit my 48th and 49th states. On Tuesday, while listening to the shir on Gittin Daf Yomi, you mentioned delivering a get at Mount Rushmore. Yeah, I don't remember that. Okay, no joke. Motsei Shabbat, I was driving a needle highway on my way there, listening to the shir, talking about Mount Rushmore. I was not a shaliach, just a visitor. Last weekend, I was a clergy in the Adult Jewish Motorcycles Alliance, JMA. Listen, I'm reading it because it's very interesting. In Milwaukee, Wisconsin, these Jewish cyclists came from all over North America, from Toronto, San Diego. They raised over $50,000 for the Holocaust Center in Milwaukee. I signed up 17 people to your shir. They make up Yidden from all levels of observance. They're all excited to receive their new, and in most cases, their first Masechta of Talmud. Bekitzer Gevaldik. Ishkoyach. Chazan Howie Shalowitz.
We got to add our valley to Mount Rushmore over there.
Huh? No, it's coming. Mount Rushmore is coming down. You didn't hear? The left wants it down. It's like, yeah, it's the fighting to take it down. It's racist. It's this. It's that. The Kohen is sponsored by Anonymous. The Masechta is sponsored by Moshe Banda to thank Hashem that I'm able to thank Him for everything that I have. Parnas HaChodesh, Lili Nishmas Chayo Bas Yosef. Parnas HaChodesh, Hashem should open up all the tzinorot bracha for Baruch Tzvi Nissim ben Shoshana Lea. Parnas HaChodesh, we have him with us. Jeff Rosner, Yishkoyach, Parnas HaChodesh. Maaser 2, and remainder. Lili Nishmas Yosef Simcha Chaim ben Shlomo Yehuda. Parnas Hayoim, Mordechai Sapoznick, Nishmas, Bubby Teitz. Moras Aidel Gitel, Horav Boruch Dovid, Shoshana Lea, man, Shoshana have an aliyah. May she be a meiletz, a sharaf of the entire mishpacha, all of Kew Garden Hills, Queens, and all of Klal Yisroel. Paranas Hayoim, David Joseph, second yahrzeit for my father, Moshe Ben Yosef. Thank you. Paranas Hayoim, Richard Klein, in honor of my daughter's Aliza's wedding today. Yeah. To Tzvi Chaim Nadoff, not Madoff. He wrote that. Lili Nishmas, Libabas, I guess he gets it a lot. Related? Who's Lili Nishmas, Libabas, Ruven Alevi, Miss Libby Lovell on her first yahrzeit was personified by her Ein Tov, Lev Tov, and Simcha Chaim. It's beloved by all who knew her, by her nephew, Peretz Chaim Levin. Now I got to tell you, Peretz Chaim Levin is doing something that a lot of us wouldn't do. First of all, he's manning a booth at Kesher Nafshi right now. Here's the picture. At the Rally Hotel, I have a very dear chaver, Mendel Lerner, the Rally Hotel. And I think a regular person would say, listen, I'm here manning a booth. It's many hours, a lot of work, standing on my feet. The last thing I want to do is give more money to MDY. No, not Paris Chaim Levin. Paris Chaim Levin is manning the booth and sponsoring the day. So I think it's a Gewaltig Zach. The art, sponsor for complete refuah for Chaim Tzvi Ben Lea. Rabbi Isai, here we go. We are only one Amud behind. A lot of people get nervous. I've never let anybody down in 4 years, but every single time, all over again, they get nervous. How come we're not holding where we have? By Sunday, Be'ezer Hashem will be holding exactly where we need to be holding. How about today? Look at the Amud Aleph. It can't be too hard. And actually, there's a Gittin today. Amud Beis is a Gittin. So, we learned a fascinating halacha, and here goes the halacha. If a person wants to advance cash to certain individuals that are worthy of loans, like a kohen, a levi, an ani, and he understands that he's not really if he's gonna rely on them to pay him back. A lot of people want to pay back. They have certain cheshbonos, maybe they'll win the lottery, and a lot of times the lottery doesn't work out, and they're stuck exactly where they were the month before, and they don't pay back. So he says, okay, what I'll do is, I will give you the money, just like this, and eventually I have a lot of fruit. The kohen deserves the truma, the levi deserves the meiser, the ani deserves the meiser ani on years 3 and 6. And memela, when I have those fruit and I have to give them to you, instead of giving to you, I'll keep them for myself, and therefore the loan is over. Because we discussed yesterday, if something goes wrong, the kohen doesn't have to pay back. It's not really a loan. It's not really ribbis. Okay. Now, if the kohen levi, they go bye-bye, they're nifter, they leave this world. So in order for this lender, this usher guy that gave out the money, in order for him to take the fruit, he has to ask permission from the yarshim. Now, it happens to be yesterday, I almost splurred. I wanted to say, I'm happy I didn't say because I saw that it's not as pashut as I thought. Can you donate money today to MDY? Say, I want to buy 1,000 Gemaras from MDY. I don't have the money right now, but I'm about to do a big deal. And when I get that big check, I will just not give the Maaser that I was going to give. Today, I'll give the Maaser today. And in a half a year from now, when I get that money, I won't do it. What do you say? It should be okay. That's the whole sugya. What? It's kedai to do it for the deal. And what if you have to pay again? It's also kedai. So yesterday I wanted to tell the Olam that they should do it. And then today I saw it's not so pashut. Huh? No, because the Noida Yehuda says that he doesn't like it. He says he sees a lot of people doing it. He doesn't like it. The only way he could do it is if you give it as a loan, maybe, and then you're meichel the loan. But if it's tzedakah, because at the end of the day, you didn't give your Maaser. You didn't give your Maaser then. You have to give. The Torah says you have to take off Maaser. True. Oh, so it's sort of like a loan. You're lending him money. Yeah. He's saying it's like, I'm giving you this, you have to return me that. I'm giving you money, you return fruit. Look.
You can do this because my trip today, according to many close to
right, okay. Listen, that's what. Okay, I said it like I said before. I'm not pasking, I never pass on halachas, I'm just saying things that I saw. The Noda says he doesn't like it, you can be melamed chus on it, the arshitas, of course. You're not. Ask your local rabbi. Obviously, I would prefer it because a lot of people will step it up right now today. Okay. So says the Gemara. Tanya Rebbe Omer Yarshim Sheyarshu. We're talking about the Yarshim who inherited. Ask the Gemara, what does that mean? How could Rebbe say this? Is there such a thing as a child that doesn't inherit? Omar Elo Omar Rabbi Yochanan Shiyorshu Karka Veloy Shiyorshu Ksafim. Because, as we mentioned yesterday, that the only time a Yerush, a son, has to pay back his father's debt and loans is only if he inherited real estate. But if he only inherited cash, he doesn't have to pay back. Maybe it's a nice thing to do, and people do it, and it's good for the neshama, different thing. But halachically, you don't have to. So that's what he's saying. It means the Yerush karka, not of course the Yarshim, but the Yarshim is something that you have to ask Rishus for, because if the Yarshim money, there's nothing to talk about. Omer Rabbi Yonasan hiniach molei machat goyve molei machat. If he left him a piece of property the size of a needle, so he gets to collect the size of a needle. Molei kardoim, if it's the size of an axe, goyve molei kardoim. So depending how large the real estate is. There's a trick, says Rabbi Yochanan, that even if he inherited a very small piece of land, you could recoup the entire loan. Another one of these stories I'm not so happy with, but there was a guy that died leaving a big debt. He owed 100. And he left his children a piece of real estate that was worth only 50. Rashi brings down the story. So the guy went and he grabbed the land. Now the Yarshim was sentimental to them, whatever it was. So they went and they paid him 50. He said, listen, it's only worth 50. Will you take 50 to release it? So he said, yeah. So they gave him 50. As soon as he gave him the 50, he went and grabbed it again. He said, okay, pay up another 50. And they paskin that he's right. He could do so. So says the Gemara, the same thing by us. You can do it over and over with the machad until you get to the full amount. Tana Rabbanan, Yisrael Shamar LeLevi, Maaser yesh li biyadcha. What did I say? Maaser yesh lecha biyadi. In other words, it's very interesting because it's in Yisrael, it's today's Parshas Hashavua, it's in our Parshas Kairach, this idea of Maaser, maybe, Today's Laney? Steinmaker is Laney. Here, if you want to see the pasuk. And if you're in America, you'll remember next week. Maaser is 10%. When you get the 10% that the Yisrael gives you, remember he gives 10%. And you should do truma from it. Trumas Hashem. How much? Maaser min Maaser. 10% from the 10% that you received from the Yisrael. So it would go like this. For most people remember, but Jonathan's struggling. So we're gonna show this. He mentioned in his Purim spiel that he's struggling with it. So that's why we did it in animation, and we show it every single day until once you decide that you have it, then we'll stop showing it. The gold Trumas Maaser. They're blue because it's Truma. He takes 1 out of his 10, which is 10%, and he gives it to the Kohen. Otherwise, what is it called? Oh, Jonathan, tell Dylan, what is it called if you don't do that?
It's called Tevel.
Wow. It's called Tevel. It's Issa Deraisa to eat.
Now we can stop.
That's it, you know it? I said at the beginning of the week, I asked somebody from the Shir that's been with the Shir for 3 years. I asked him, what is Trumas Maaser? And he struggled. He knows Truma, he knows Maaser. You put the two together, Trumas Maaser, he struggled. This is Trumas Maaser. Okay. No, we're not holding there. So what happened is like this. We're going to have a few pshatim here until we get to the final pshat. The Yisrael says, listen, I have a pile of fruit in my garage waiting for you to pick up. But you know what? Let's do a deal. It's worth $100. I'll give you $100. I'm going to keep the fruit. Maskim. Okay. What about the 10% that's in the pile? So the Levi again gets how many apples, Jonathan? 10. Within the 10 apples is one blue apple that must go to the Kohen. And if you don't remove that blue apple, you don't know which one it is, so you can't eat the whole pile. It's tevel. The Yisrael went and he paid for the 10 apples, but now the Yisrael shouldn't be able to eat it. Why? Because maybe there's a blue apple in that pile. The Trumas Maaser is in there. And Trumas Maaser Shabbat. But if he said, Kur Maaser Yishlach Biyadi, he specified the amount. The first case, he has no clue if it's 10 apples, 30 apples, he doesn't know. Now he knows exactly. It's a whole kur. 30 saw. Now you have to be concerned. My Omar, what's going on here? Yisrael tells the Levi, I actually owe the whole Shevet Levi, I owe them this Maaser, the 10%. It adds up to a lot. You know what? Let's do a deal. Here's some cash. Release it. Says the Levi, oh, I got cash. Now I have nothing to do with that fruit. But, explains Rashi, the Yisrael never lifted up the fruit. He paid cash for the fruit to the Levi. Did he ever go into his garage and start lifting it up with a forklift? No. He just assumed it's his. So now the Levi is going to go at home and say, I have to give the Kayan a bunch of blue apples. Guess what? Those apples in the Yisrael's garage are all blue. I'm giving them to the Kayan without telling the Yisrael. Comes the Yisrael and he's all excited. He did a great deal with the Levi. He bought up the Maaser from the Levi, but in that Maaser is Trumas Maaser. In that Maaser, he did a good deal with the Levi, and a Yisrael is permitted to eat Maaser. The fruit that goes to the Levi can share with his Yisrael friends. What they cannot share is the Trumas Maaser. Anything that's Truma that belongs to a Kayin, a Yisrael can never eat. Even if you're his guest at a Shabbos meal, you can't eat his Truma. Comes the Levi without you knowing it, and he's going to take that whole pile and create something called Trumas Maaser. He's going to say, I owe Kohanim 25 pounds of fruit. Let that fruit in the Yisrael's garage that I just got money for, but the Yisrael never did any meshicha to it or anything. I still have, I'm a balabas on it. I want it to be Trumas Maaser. Huh?
Why can't you say that when you gave him the money,
Yeah.
you got all of it already. Take 10% of that money, give it to the Kayan.
No, you could do that, but what if the Levi decided that fruit in the Yisrael's garage is truma? What happens if he can't eat it? He got paid for it, but nothing happened. Who cares? He took the money and ran. But nobody made a kinyan here, says Rashi. The Levi never made a kinyan. The Yisrael never made a kinyan. It belonged to the Levi when it was in the garage. The Levi got money for it, but the Yisrael never reacquired it. He never took it back. Just because he paid for it, just because you pay for something doesn't make it yours, halachically. So Mela says, that's according to Rashi.
What's the difference if he said cool or not cool?
Oh. So, if you know how much it is, then you could do it. If the Levi knows exactly how much it is, he knows it's a kur. He knows it's 10 pounds. So he has 100 pounds of food at home that's Maaser. He owes the Kayan how much? 10% of that, which is 10 pounds. He knows it's 10 pounds in somebody's garage. That 10 pounds should be for the Kohanim. Then comes the Yisrael and starts eating it. He doesn't know. And he's over Issa Deiraisa, Misa. What is that called? What's the Levi? A big fat Russia. He's messing up the Yisrael without telling the Yisrael. So we're talking about Rishayim here. That's the Gemara's question. We're talking about a Russia. Now, if he doesn't know how many pounds is in the garage, why would he use it for? He has a chayv to all the kohanim that he has to give to the kohanim 10 pounds. Now, in the garage might be a half a pound, might be 30 pounds, might be 1,000 pounds. He has no clue. Why would he use what's in the garage for the kohanim? If he doesn't know what it is, he's not going to use it. He has to be sure that it's at least enough to cover what he owes the kohanim. Now he knows how much. He told him a kur. Okay, great. I'm using that kur in the Yisrael's garage to pay my debt to the kohanim. Says the Gemara, that doesn't make any sense. Okay. Says the Gemara, we're talking about a Levi who's a Rasha, who's going to mess up the Yisrael and make his fruit usher to eat without telling him. The Shakad Demei, first he takes money for it, he makes profit off of it, and then after he takes the money, then he's going to make it into truma for a kohen. Here's the pshat. Yisrael Shomer ben Levi Ma'aser levicha biyadi. Helach damav. If Yisrael said, my Ma'aser levicha biyadi helach damav, I owed your father this Maaser. So now we're talking about two different people. It's possible that the father, there was no sale with the father. The father owned that pile in the Yisrael's garage. The father died. Right before he died, he received a gift from Yisrael. The Yisrael had Rachmanas on him, he was dying. He said, listen, I have $1,000 worth of fruit in my garage. It's Maaser. I want you to have it. The guy on his deathbed tells his son, so-and-so, go to so-and-so, he has a gift for us. Okay. So he received the gift. Now the son made a deal with the Yisrael. The son says, you gave my father $1,000 worth of fruit. Here's $100. Give me a discount, whatever. I want the fruit. But it's possible that the father, thinking that it's his fruit, not knowing that his son is going to make a deal on it and buy it, it's possible that the father said that all the fruit in the garage is for the kohen. That's possible. He's not a Rasha. It's his right to give it to the kohen. He didn't know that Yisrael is going to eat it eventually, that his son is going to do a deal. He didn't know he's going to die and his son is going to do a deal. We're talking about two individuals. We're talking father and a son. One of them received it. The other one made a deal. So he's not a Rasha. And here's money. Maybe the father, not knowing that the son is going to do a deal, he already switched it into truma, made it from Maaser into truma. As the Gemara, but the Levi, the father, is on his deathbed. He's not there. How could he? You have to be in front of the truma and Maaser when you do it. Why? Because there's a gzeira. What if later on you find out that there's no fruit? The mice came and ate it up. I don't know what happened. In your mind, you have a pile of fruit somewhere, and you're using that pile of fruit as a gift to the kohen, to the Levi. And if you're not there, maybe the pile doesn't exist. Maybe somebody stole it. Maybe somebody ate it. So, Chacham made a gzeira. You have to be in front of the pile. You can't just say, oh, in my mind there's a pile. Today, we're going to see that there's a mission that says the exact opposite. That you could use a pile somewhere else. And we're going to have to explain that it means b'di'evet. It's after the fact. Or it's on Erev Shabbos when people are in a rush. Fine. So Mamelo, we have a problem here. How could it be that this guy, now, if he's dying, so maybe he has a heter to do so, as we'll see later. El Amar Ravashi. Hachi Gamar. So now the Gemara says a completely different pshat. I'll say Balpet. The Yisrael wants to give his garage full of fruit to the Levi. Now it's possible the Yisrael was being a nice guy and he removed the Trumas Maaser. In other words, that 10% that the Levi must give afterwards, the Yisrael does it for him. Just to give him a complete gift. Here's an edible gift. Yeah? You don't want to give somebody a cake that he has to go here in Yisrael. Oh, by the way, I didn't take Trumas and Maasers. So you give him the cake and he has to go and separate. And it's not so what? Challah. It's not geschmack. Yeah, exactly. My wife baked you a challah. You have to remove the challah. Do it first challah. Shvach. You know what? I'm going to do it all for you. I'm going to give you your 10% that I have to give. Plus, I'm going to take off Trumas Maaser, the 10% that you have to give. I'm going to take it off for you, and I'm going to find the kohen and take care of it. That's the Gemara's kasha. Could he do it? Who gave him permission to do it? Yeah. We do it all. Yeah. Yeah. It's not his obligation, but maybe he did it. And the question the Gemara has, could we assume that he did it for him? Could he eat it? Could the Levi start eating right now today before he gets home? It's not his obligation. I get it. I hear what you're saying. Let's see the Gemara. Let's see how it develops. Says the Gemara, Ben Yisrael Shoshana Lea Kachomer Liabo. My father told me, I owe you Levi, I owe you the 10% Maaser. Oy Maaser Levi Chabiyadi. Okay, it's a bad lashon. Rashi says it's not the greatest lashon. It means I could assume that perhaps the Yisrael took care of business. and it's edible right now. He got rid of the Trumas Maaser Shabbat. Since I don't know how much it is, then the Balabayis, the Yisrael, won't do it. But if he knows the exact amount, even the kids, now, since I know exactly how much it is, I could assume the Yisrael took care of it, because it's an exact amount. Ask the Gemara what Reb Judah David was asking, Reb Yehuda. Why would the Yisrael be able to, even if he wanted to be a nice guy, why would he be able to take off the 10% of the 10%, the Maaser, Mina Maaser, what we call Trumas Maaser, that goes to the Kohen? Why would he be able to do it? It's not his obligation. It's the Levi's obligation. Says Gemara he could do it. Huh? The Torah says you have a chiyuv. Could I shake a lulav for you without asking you?
When you give money to someone, can't you tell them, I'm also giving you the mice? I'm also doing that? You don't have to take mice.
Exactly. I give you a salary, and by the way, you don't have to give mice or money. I did it for you. Maybe you can't do it. Maybe it's my chiyuv. I want to do it. I want to give it to Danim. I want to do. Who says you should do it for me? What do you mean? I don't know. Yeah. Does it work? In Abelazar ben Abelahi, the Sanya, Abelazar ben Abelahi Omer, v'nechshav lochem trumaschem. By the way, this is also in this week's parasha. This is actually the next pasuk. V'nechshav. So v'nechshav means you can think about it in your mind. Lochem trumaschem. Says the Gemara, Daf Lamed Aleph Amud Aleph, 30 daf in the Masechta, b'shtei trumas hakosim medaber. We're talking about two people giving truma here. In one pasuk, it's talking about two people. And as you see on this chart, you see there's a Levi and there's Yisrael. The first part of the pasuk is v'nechshav lochem trumaschem. That's the Levi who's giving the 10% of the 10% he receives from the Yisrael. What we call, Jonathan, what do we call it? Trumas Maaser. The next part of the pasuk is reverting back to the Yisrael, or talking about a Yisrael who has to give to the Kohen and the Levi. What sponsor? No, this is not Amud Beis. We're not only Amud Beis. By the way, I received 2 emails today. It's very interesting. 2 emails in one day complaining about the sponsorship on the daf that we turned. So we're in the middle of learning. What are you saying, Lili Nishmas, in the middle of Torah?
They don't complain about all the interruptions.
That they can. Right. One of them was the Talmud Chaver. He says, I'm not going to tell you my name. I'm your Talmud, but I'm your Chaver because I'm also Daf Yomi Magachir. And the Eibishter doesn't really like this kind of stuff. Okay, we'll talk about it a different time.
Vice President Hashem.
No, he's right. HaKadosh Baruch Hu doesn't like B'tul Torah, but HaKadosh Baruch Hu doesn't like.
And he didn't put in his real name, he didn't put in his real email address or phone number, so we have no idea who he is.
I know, he doesn't want us to know who he is. It's fine. He's a Talmud Chacham somewhere. I was going to tell him.
I don't want you to know.
He's a Chaver, yeah, because he's a Chaver, but he's not a Talmud. A Talmud would know that Bitula Zu Kiyuma. Okay. Zog the Gemara. B'shtei trumas hakosim medaber. Achas truma g'dolah, achas truma Maaser. Kishem she truma g'dolah, and he tells ba oimed. Ubemachshava. Just like truma, the 2% we give the kohen. Oh, just in case anybody forgot what truma is, so I just want you to. Jonathan is having a conniption, but Jonathan, this is how you suffer here. It started yesterday at 102 and remained. And it says Tevel. It's very important. Oh, it turned to 100. And it also says Tevel. It says Tevel each day. Over here, Tevel. It's a 102 Tevel, but once you take off the 2, it becomes not non-Tevel. Now you can eat it. Now, guess what happens? The kohen is supposed to be eating it, but not yet. That's a different. Fine. Anyway, but also, I don't know if you noticed, the Truma is like highlighted. Not here. I don't know what happened. By me, it flashes, and it's supposed to show you Maaser.
Magachir is okay with this. This is good with Magachir.
This is Torah. What do you? Oh, that hey, you see the Maaser is moving? Could you see it? Yeah, it's moving. Because now we're doing Maaser. Before we're doing truma, it was what? What is it called? Pulsing. Okay, so now we know what truma and Maaser is. So we need to see Rashi real quickly. Rashi, 3 lines from the top. Ba'omed. Echad, because we say this all the time, but Rashi says it the best. Echad mechamishim shomru chachamim. This 1 out of 50, which means 2 out of 100, which means 2% in Panovich. Shomru chachamim. Mafresh ba'omed. You could do it just assessing. How do you say? Estimation. Thank you. Mafresh ba'omed. The imta enkan iser. There's no Isra at all if you make a mistake. Even if you went lower than 2%, you gave him 1%, you're yaitza. Why? 1 kernel is enough for 1,000,000 kernels. You don't have to give 2% midiraisa. Just what? The Torah never give a shir. Chacham said, you want to be large, give 1 out of 40. If you're a little stingier, give 1 out of 50. If you're really stingy, 1 out of 60. There's no real shir. Okay, so just like truma, you could do ba'omed just by estimation, and if you mess up, you give less than 2%. You're fine. Ubi machshava, how do you do machshava? In your mind, you say the truma is going to be those fruit all the way to the left. I'm going to eat everything to the right. You don't have to take action. You don't have to lift up those fruit and say, I'm kohen for the kohen. In my mind, I did it. Later on, I'll remove it. Kach trumas Maaser. This is a pella ploim. Why? Because look at the pasuk. The pasuk says mefurish. Maaser, mina Maaser. What does that mean in English? 10% of the 10% that you got. The Torah tells you how much you should take. It's not, approximately. The Torah says 10%. No. Since it's in the same pasuk, that's called the hekesh. You learn the top from the bottom from the top, and it's all the same. And just like the bottom, when the Yisrael gives truma, you could do by estimation, so too the top part, the Levi, when he has to give 10%, it's only estimation. He could also give 9% and be yaitza with 9%. Sorry, did I skip? This is the nekuda that we want. Just like the Yisrael gives the 2% to the kohen, he gives the 10% that the Levi has to give. He could also give. Tais has an amazing chap here that according to this, Rabbi Elazar ben Gamla or Abba Elazar ben Gamla, he says you could go by oimed. You could go by just estimation. So then why does the Gemara before differentiate between a kur and not a kur? If it's a kur, the guy knows exactly how much to give, so maybe he gave it. And if it's not exactly a core, he won't know how much to give. But according to Abba Elazar ben Gamla, you don't have to know how much to give. You could just estimate it, guesstimate it. So Tais has a beautiful chap here. He says that's true when you're giving yourself. But if you're giving for somebody else, you're the Yisrael, trying to be a nice guy. To the Levi, you can't estimate. Why? Because either way you estimate, you're going to mess somebody up. Either you're going to take away what the kohen deserves. The kohen deserves 10% of what the Levi has. You're going to be a nice guy, and you're going to give only 9%. He just lost 1%. Who told you could do it? You're Yisrael. What do you? And if you give way too much, maybe the Levi didn't want to give that much. The Levi only wanted to give 10%. You give 12%. So either way you do it, you can't estimate. You Yisrael have no right to estimate. That's what's going on. You're right. Halachically, you could get away with an estimation. But if you estimate it and you're not in charge over here, you might be messing somebody up. Says the Heilige Mishnah, sponsored by Yoel Friedman, their father, Chaim Avram Shalom Yeruchim Ben Yisrael Dovid, his father. How many achperes liyos marfish aleim truma u'maisros? A person sets aside,
8 minutes.
That's plenty. A person set aside. In other words, he's going on a trip. He has some issue. He puts money aside over there. That if he has to give Maaser Sheni, should we show the Maaser Sheni? No, it's fine. He has to take his fruit, the Maaser Sheni fruit, in years 2, 4, 1, 2, 4, 5. He takes those fruit and brings it to Yerushalayim. If not, he puts it into money. He doesn't have money right now. He's on a safari somewhere, and he wants to eat the fruit right now. So what he does is, he says, I have a bundle of money in my attic, that I designated specially for Maaser Sheni. Any fruit that I eat here that's supposed to be Maaser Sheni, it's going to transfer in that money into the money that's not in my pocket, in the money that's in the attic. What if my son comes and he goes through the attic looking for baseball cards or whatever, and he finds a pile of money, and he takes the money and uses it? So it's not very good. Money for Maaser Sheni, or fruit for Truma. We have a chazaka that they are there. So Taisus points out that it works. We just said a second ago that you're not allowed to, that a chaver doesn't separate Truma Maasers unless he's there. It has to be menamukov. It has to be in front of him. And now all of a sudden, says Taisus, because on Erev Shabbos, a guy is so belachatz, and all those people running through the red lights in Borough Park and all the thing. So we gave him a heter. We said, okay, but the Eved, it works. And I just want to say an unbelievable ma'isa that it reminded me of this ma'isa, even though it's not 100% here, but I think it's a big chizuk. Mendy sent it to me, but I saw a lot of people talking about the story. It's actually, in order to hear this ma'isa, I'm cutting it down to 30 seconds. It took me 11 minutes or so to listen to, because there's two voice notes, one from a modern Orthodox Yid and one from a chassid. Basically, this modern Orthodox guy, he described himself like that. He says, very small yarmulke, he lives in Inglewood, and he's driving, and he saw a Hasidic family on the side of the road, and typically speaking, he never stops for Hasidim. He says, man, different groups. It was Erev Yontiv, it was 1 hour before Yontiv, Erev Shavuos, and he decided to ask what's going on. He approaches him, do you need any help? He sees a cop, he sees the father holding his little baby, 2 little kids, whatever. He says, what's going on? And the guy said, the chassid says, you can't help me. Like he realized the wrong direction, didn't even realize if he's a Yid or not. He says, no, he says, the cop is impounding my carts on the Palisades Parkway. It happens to be one of my best friends, Avi Kamalar. He was on the way to the hospital. His wife was delivering a baby, and he got pulled over by a cop on the Palisades, and the cop would not let him go until he wrote him a ticket. His wife was in crazy labor, didn't care. That's how they are in the Palisades. I told Gershon when we were there, I said, slow down on the Palisades. Fine. The cop said, I'm impounding your car. He says, but he was a chazan. His name is Yechiel Becher. Is that his name? Brecher, sorry. Yecheskel Brecher. I'm so bad with name. So this guy, Rachamim, says, no, he says, I'm a chazan in a hotel. I wonder if it's in the Raleigh Hotel. The chazan hotel, I have to make it there for Shavuos. You guys, Erev Shavuos, he says, I have to make it there. So this guy, Rachamim, a Sephardi from Englewood, says, take my car. It happened to be top of a line Lexus. I forgot to download the video. Put the video. Yosef, you can show it. The bottom line is, he says, okay, you want a picture of my license? You want something, a mashkin? What are you, crazy? Get in my car and drive. I'll find the way home. V'kachava. He walked, he got a way home. He made it to the hotel. And the chassid said, I'm thanking Hashem not for making it to the hotel, but to see that a Yid would do something like that for another Yid. A whole long drasha. Both of them were very uplifted by it. Rachamin's wife was so proud of him, and he did this. And I said, I hope Racham is part of the shir. If he's not, we have to get him to the shir. We have to get both, Rabbi Cheskel Brecher. And a lot of guys from Englewood asked me if I could do a shir in Englewood. I was like, I don't do a shir for less than 1,000 people. Come on. But for Rachamim, I'll do a shir in his house. If I'm invited over there, I'm in there. Huh? You have to listen to the video again. You can't be schmoozing and asking the chazu. But I want to say one nekuda. I don't want to ruin the story. One nekuda halavai. We should be zoichet. If I know HaKadosh Baruch Hu loves this kind of stuff, but imagine if we did it not in a shas tzar, not to take away from the story, but imagine if we did ches, we gave our car to somebody on a Tuesday afternoon when we're not rushing. Imagine we gave food for the sick, not for the sick, for the healthy. Imagine we gave tzedakah not for the dying, but for the living. Doing chesed, it will magnify that schus 100 times. Okay. Wow. Shkoyach. First time somebody threw something at me, was it that bad? It's in the mishpacha. The litzanis is in the mishpacha. I can't get away from it. Zog the Gemara. Because Taisus says Erev Shabbos when people are in a rush and this, that's how it's connected. You have to connect it somewhere. You have to stick it in. Says the Gemara, says the Mishnah. Now, if the money is lost, and the guy's being mafresh trumas and meisers on the money, the meiser sheni on the money, and on its fruit for 3 months already. Everything he did for 3 months is not meiser? Only 24 hours, says the Gemara. Now we have to qualify what that means. Dear Rebbe Lazar says you get 24 hours. Rabbi Yehuda Omer, b'shleisha prokim boitkim sayayin. You have to check to see if the wine became vinegar 3 times a year. B'kidum shel Motsei Chag, when there's an east wind at the end of Sukkot, u'beitzas smadar, when the fruit does something like this, small like little berries come out. It happens to be that the Badats never gave a hechsher on grape flavored drinks because they were choshesh that people use it for kiddush. But if you called it smadar, then it was fine. If you didn't call it grape juice, just smadar, fine. Ubishas knisas mayim baboiser. And once the grape is mature enough that it has a little bit of liquid in it, then you have to check to see if it turned in vinegar. My meiletz, what does it mean? 24 hours. 24 hours from the time that you found. So let me just show you this chart that I did. It was very rudimentary at the last minute. But you lost the money on all the way on the left. You're mafresh. You set aside the fruit for the trumas and meisers all the way on the right. Says the Gemara, if you realize that it was lost all the way on the left, so you go back 24 hours. Okay. And everything from the 24 hours all the way to where the man is standing is good meiser. You just for 24 hours from the time you found it, going backwards, you can't rely on the meiser that you did. That's pshat number 1. That's the top arrow, the long arrow. Rabbi Lazar ben Atik noisay mer mishum Rabbi Lazar ben Yanai Daf Amud Aleph Amud Beis. You get 24 hours from the time all the way on the right. 24 hours. Those 24 hours, you can assume that you had the money in the attic. But after those 24 hours, your son found it, and for 3 months, all your meiser sheni is not meiser sheni. So the second shot is very limited. You only get 24 hours. The first shot, you get a tremendous amount of time. You just don't get 24 hours. You do not get 24 hours, or you do get 24 hours. It's a huge nafkemina. I should have put an X maybe in where it says avdu. Okay. No sponsors today. Okay, by the Friedman family, for their sisters, Nechama Lea bas Pinchas Eliezer and Chana Etel bas Pinchas Eliezer. Imavdu hareza choishesh meisleis. Bishlam Lamano says the Gemara. Oh, it says in our Mishnah, not. But we just learned Imavdu hareza choishesh meisleis. You have to be concerned for 24 hours. If you go to the left, it's great. You only have to be concerned for 24 hours. But if it's the second shot, why does it say meisleis? Ad meisleis. Now, if you look at the chart, it makes a lot of sense. You only get up till 24 hours. So it should say ad. You get from where the man is standing till the small little arrow, you only get ad 24 hours. But if the pshat is, you don't get 24 hours. But from the 24 hours on, you can use that money, so it's me eslei. From the end of 24 hours, you get it. It's me from, not up till. I thought the chart helps a little bit. Zokti Gemara, Kashya. Enechanami, the Lashon is a little shver. Divi Rebbe Lazar says you get 24 hours. Omar Rebbe Lazar says, Rashi, it's a different Rebbe Lazar. It's an Amayra. Many hundreds of years later, someone with the same name said, Chalukim Olav Chaver Rebbe Lazar. They argue with him. Now what? Rebbe Lazar says you have 24 hours freebie. Disnan, you have 0 time. Mikveh shenimda v'nim tzachatzer. You have a mikveh that was measured on a Sunday and it had 40 saw. You come back on Friday, and it's only 39 saw. When did the 39 saw happen? When did it become possible for a mikveh? Everything from the time from Friday all the way to the time you check the mikveh on Sunday, everything is not kosher, not tahar. Memela, how much time do you have according to this? 0. There's no 24 hours. Bein b'shus hayachid, bein b'shus harabim. We have halacha that tuma b'shus harabim is tahar. Safek tuma b'shus harabim tahar. Ask Rashi, how come we don't have it over here? Safek Tumah B'Rishus Harabim Tar. Because that's if you touch something. Did this person touch a bone in Rishus Harabim? Oh, it's in Rishus Harabim. Safek Tar. But over here we have a person that's 100% Tameh. The question is, did he get rid of his Tumah by going to a mikvah? Now you don't say Safek Tumah B'Rishus Harabim. It's Safek Tar B'Rishus Harabim, not Safek Tameh. He is Tameh, did he become Tar? That you don't say Safek Tameh. Now Rabbi Isai, what is considered Rishus Harabim? 600,000 people. We learned in Nazir, 3 people's Rishus Harabim. Huh? Saita also? We learned it from Saita, but we learned, I think it was a Sugi Nazir. Or maybe it's all one. It's all one. We learned it everywhere. Okay. Remember the whole Shaila, if you're a Kohen and a Safek going in Netanya over there, you should bring 3 people in the car. Okay. What's the Shaila? It's Mefurish Mishnah. Ma'od the Seima. Ma'ile Mafreya Meis Le'eis. I would think that by the story of the mikvah, it also means that you have 24 hours. It just doesn't say it, but when it says limafrei, it means starting from the 24-hour period like we have by us. Komash malon, that the 0 time. It's not a real givaldik Maaser. I know it's 804, but I thought it's givaldik because a Maaser Shaya, they found a mikvah that every single tahara that was done there was Tameh. In other words, chayve krisos, all the dairaises, it was a mikvah apostle. Why? They went on the roof and they saw that the water, the rainwater, the collection device that collects the water was actually a kli. It was done improperly, not la'alach, and everything that was ever done in this mikvah, all the years, they went and they had to break it to the guy that made the mikvah. The son came and said, listen, Tata, this is what happened. And before he finished, he says, you don't understand. When we built the mikveh, we had such agmas nefesh, that what? That they couldn't get rainwater. They couldn't get rain. It was Eretz Yisrael, they couldn't get rain. So they had to go to the Hermon and get snow and build a mikveh with snow. You can't imagine how hard it was and how difficult it is to go all the way there, make sure it doesn't melt and this and that. So you see from here as a Morid Gezach, that when you think at the time is a tremendous agmas nefesh, is what saved all the chayve creases, because the mikveh was 100% kosher all the years because it's based on that rainwater stuff. Okay, on the snow. Should we go weiter? Let's just do 5 more lines. I know the Eilim's waiting over the Shachris, and then we'll have a lot of fun on Motsei Shabbos. It's actually a gadta. Tana, when the wind blows on the end at the Motsei Sukkos, but it has to be Shel Tkufa. It has to be the new season. Rash says there's a new season, Tishrei, Tammuz. There's 4 seasons, Jewish seasons. Tanya, Rabbi Yehuda, you sell wheat at 3 different periods. Lefnei Azer before planting, Ushas Azer during the planting, Ubefreis Pesach, and like 15 days before Pesach. And you sell the wine. The Gemara is going to explain, what do I care when they sell it? Befreis Pesach, Ubefreis Atzeres, Ubefreis Chag. 15 days before the Yomim Tovim. V'shemen, and when do you sell oil? Matzeres veil from Shavuos on. If you have a shutaf, you don't have to ask him. So even if the price went down, I could sell as much as I want. Now is the right time to sell. You can't come to me and sue me. But what about after the 3 seasons are over? Every day after that's the time. It's the best time to sell because the price is just dropping. I don't have to ask permission from my shutaf. Should we go weiter? No, okay. Rabbi Isai, I have a wonderful Motsei Shabbos 10:15. Sorry, 10:15, and it's very easy stuff. We'll catch up, Be'ezer Hashem.